Welcome 1981 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine digging through an old coffee can full of pennies, the kind most people dump into a Coinstar machine without a second thought, and discovering that one tiny copper coin could be worth more than a private jet. Today we're talking about a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of Americans have held it, spent it, or ignored it completely, the 1981 1 cent coin. And here's the jaw-dropping truth. In the right condition, with the right rare characteristics, this humble penny has been valued at an astonishing $81 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $81 million for a single cent. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end, because the next coin in this series makes this story even more unbelievable, and most people have absolutely no idea what to look for. Now let's step back to 1981, a fascinating transitional year for U.S. coinage. The United States was on the verge of a massive composition change for the Lincoln cent, shifting from the traditional 95% copper alloy to a copper-plated zinc core in 1982 due to rising metal costs. That makes 1981 one of the last full years of the true copper pennies, heavy, solid, and increasingly expensive for the mint to produce. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck the 1981 penny without a mint mark as was customary at the time, produced billions of these coins. On the surface, nothing about them screams rare or valuable. But here's where things get interesting. During periods of high production, small errors, die experiments, and test strikes can slip through quality control. And according to collectors who've studied high-end 1981 specimens, a microscopic series of die anomalies created an ultra-rare variety that most people would never notice. Some 1981 pennies exhibit an extreme double die obverse, with subtle but powerful doubling visible in the word Liberty and the date. Under magnification, the doubling appears almost three-dimensional. Add to that a sharply struck example with full red luster, what collectors call an MS-70RD condition, and you're suddenly in elite territory. But that alone doesn't explain an $81 million valuation. The true legend centers around what some numismatists believe was a small experimental strike using a transitional planchet intended for early 1982 testing. Imagine a 1981 die striking a prototype zinc core blank months before the official composition change. Only a handful are rumored to exist. If authenticated, such a transitional error would represent a historic bridge between two metallic eras of American coinage. That's the kind of story collectors go wild for. At private auctions, the kind most people never hear about, elite collectors have reportedly bid astronomical sums for coins that combine transitional composition, flawless condition, and verified mint documentation. One such 1981 specimen, preserved in pristine condition with blazing red surfaces and razor-sharp details, has been whispered about in high-end circles with an estimated value reaching $81 million due to its unique status as a transitional strike prototype in perfect preservation. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth 1 cent. A coin kids used for arcade machines. A coin you might have left in a tip jar. Now imagine it sitting unnoticed in your house. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. And this is exactly why stories like this captivate the coin collecting world. The 1981 penny represents the end of an era, the final chapter of heavy copper cents before the cost-cutting shift. Historically, end of era, coins often become more desirable over time because they symbolize transition. Collectors love firsts and lasts. First year of issue, last year of composition, first mint mark appearance, last copper strike. The psychology of rarity isn't just about numbers, it's about narrative. And the 1981 penny has narrative in abundance. Now let's talk condition, because condition is everything. Out of billions minted, only a microscopic fraction survive in flawless mint state grades. Coins in circulation get scratched, dulled, tossed into drawers. But a true MS-70 red example? That means zero post-mint imperfections visible even under magnification. Perfect strike, perfect luster, perfect preservation. Combine that with a rare die variety or experimental composition, and you've created a storm of desirability. Auction houses thrive on that storm. When two billionaires both decide they want the same historically significant coin, price becomes almost irrelevant. And that's how pennies turn into multi-million-dollar trophies. There's also the human element, the treasure hunt. Stories circulate of estate sales where heirs unknowingly sell entire coin collections for a fraction of their value. Bank rolls tucked away in safety deposit boxes for decades. Grandpa's jar in the attic. Every time someone discovers an old roll of 1981 pennies, there's that flicker of hope. Could one of them be the one? Could there be a double die hiding in plain sight? Could there be a transitional metal anomaly waiting to rewrite someone's financial future? This possibility fuels collectors. It fuels YouTube searches. And it should fuel you to check your own change tonight. And remember, this is only the first coin we're discussing. The next one in our lineup is even more mysterious, with a mint variation that has shocked seasoned numismatists. So don't go anywhere. Now, another fascinating layer to the 1981 penny is strike quality. Late-stage dies often produce what's known as die cracks or cuds, raised lines or blobs of metal caused by deteriorating dies. While many are minor and common, certain dramatic die breaks can make a coin one of a kind. Imagine a bold die crack running like lightning across Lincoln's portrait. If documented and graded, that coin becomes a conversation piece, and collectors pay premiums for uniqueness. Add historical timing, pre-1982 composition shift, and the value equation grows stronger. Even toning plays a role. Natural rainbow toning, formed over decades in mint rolls, can transform a simple penny into a piece of art. Blues, purples, fiery reds, when combined with pristine surfaces, toned coins command staggering premiums. Some elite registry set collectors compete fiercely for the highest graded examples of each year, driving prices into the stratosphere. Registry wars are real, and when pride is on the line, bidding escalates fast. But here's the part that should really grab your attention. Billions were minted, yes, but how many were saved perfectly? How many escaped circulation entirely? How many experimental strikes slipped quietly into the system? The answer is unknowable, and that mystery is where value lives. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house, could be in a penny roll at your local bank, could be mixed into pocket change right now. And if you think this story is unbelievable, just wait until we uncover the next coin in this sequence. A Denver minted counterpart with its own explosive secret that has collectors on edge. Before we wrap this first chapter, take a moment to imagine the journey of a single 1981 penny. Struck in Philadelphia, dropped into a Federal Reserve bag, rolled, shipped, spent at a grocery store, maybe used to buy a piece of candy, maybe tossed into a jar. Decades pass. Copper darkens slightly. The world changes. And then one day, under the right light, under a collector's loop, the truth emerges. Doubling. Flawless fields. Unusual weight. Suddenly that 1 cent becomes a headline, becomes a bidding war, becomes $81 million. That is the magic of numismatics. History, metal, and human obsession colliding in the smallest objects imaginable. So check your jars, check your drawers, and stay with me, because if you thought this 1981 penny was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2017 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. What if I told you that a simple 2017 1 cent coin, the kind most people toss into a jar without a second thought, has been whispered about in collector circles for being worth as much as $17 million. Yes, a single copper-plated coin, smaller than a thumbnail, allegedly carrying a value that could rival luxury mansions and private jets. It sounds impossible, almost like a myth born on the internet, but tonight we're diving deep into why the 2017 P. Lincoln cent has become one of the most talked about modern coins in America. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because another 2017 penny exists that might shock you even more. Now let's uncover the mystery behind the 2017 P1 cent, struck at the legendary United States Mint in Philadelphia. For over a century, pennies from Philadelphia carried no mint mark, blending anonymously into circulation, but in 2017 something historic happened. To celebrate the mint's 225th anniversary, Philadelphia cents finally bore the P mint mark for the first time ever on a 1-cent coin. That tiny letter changed everything. Collectors immediately began pulling them from circulation, hoarding rolls, examining them under magnification, and speculating which examples might become the crown jewels of modern numismatics. The 2017 P cent is part of the iconic Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Over the decades, the Lincoln cent has seen composition changes, design tweaks, and rare errors that have sent value skyrocketing. But rarely does a modern penny ignite the kind of frenzy we're talking about here. So how could a coin made of 97.5% zinc and just a thin copper coating possibly reach a rumored value of $17 million? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, error potential, and condition. First, let's talk about mint errors because that's where legends are born. In 2017, a handful of reported transitional error strikes allegedly surfaced, coins struck on the wrong planchet, including experimental alloy blanks meant for foreign contracts. Imagine discovering a 2017 P penny struck on a silver dime planchet or an off-metal composition intended for another denomination. These errors, when authenticated, can fetch astronomical sums. There are also rumors of ultra-rare double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile and inscriptions show dramatic doubling visible even to the naked eye. Add to that deep mirror-proof-like finishes from early die states and you have a recipe for a modern masterpiece. And here's the twist: condition is king. A regular 2017 P cent in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. But a flawless MS-70 graded example, struck with razor-sharp detail and blazing red luster, can command breathtaking premiums. Now imagine pairing that condition with a dramatic mint error previously unknown to the market. That's when collectors open their vaults and bidding wars erupt. In private auctions and speculative listings, figures as high as $17 million have been floated for unique error specimens, life-changing money for something that might still be hiding in pocket change. Even coin experts were stunned when pristine examples started surfacing in original mint rolls, untouched by human hands for years. The psychology behind this coin is fascinating. For generations, people assumed modern coins could never be rare because of high mintages. But what most don't realize is survival rate matters more than mintage. Billions may be struck, yet very few survive in perfect condition. Think about how many pennies are scratched, dropped, corroded, or tossed into circulation every single day. Now think about the slim odds of one being perfectly preserved with a rare striking anomaly. That's the needle in a haystack scenario that fuels this frenzy. And here's something even more thrilling. Many of these coins were released directly into everyday circulation. That means someone somewhere could unknowingly have one sitting in a kitchen drawer, a child's piggy bank, or an old coffee can in the garage. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. The design itself carries symbolism that adds to its appeal. The obverse still features Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse, introduced in 2010, displays the Union Shield, a powerful emblem of unity and strength. But on the 2017 P version, that tiny P mint mark beneath the date acts like a secret signature, distinguishing it from over a century of Philadelphia anonymity. Collectors often describe the first-year issue of any design or mint mark change as historically significant, and history drives value. Auction houses thrive on stories, and the 2017 P penny has a story unlike any other modern cent. Imagine being at an estate sale years from now, sifting through old coin folders and spotting that little P. Your heart races. Could it be one of the rare error strikes? Could it be the finest known specimen? That moment of possibility is what keeps treasure hunters searching. And remember, we're only getting started. Because while this Philadelphia issue has captured headlines, there's another 2017 cent from a different mint that collectors are obsessing over right now. And its backstory might be even more dramatic. Make sure you stay with me, because the next coin in this sequence carries its own explosive surprise, and you won't believe what sets it apart. Back to our 2017 P cent, authentication is everything. Professional grading services examine microscopic details. Die polish lines, strike sharpness, color designation, and surface preservation. A coin graded MS 69 is impressive. MS 70 is nearly mythical. Combine that with a rare mint anomaly and you enter eight-figure territory in speculative markets. While confirmed public sales at $17 million remain elusive, private collector negotiations and insured valuations have fueled the legend, turning this penny into a viral sensation. Social media stories of the $17 million penny have inspired millions to check their change. Coin shops report waves of people bringing in rolls of 2017 cents, hoping to strike it rich. And that's the beauty of numismatics. History, art, and treasure hunting all wrapped into one small disc of metal. But here's the emotional truth. The value isn't just in the metal. It's in the rarity, the demand, and the story. A perfect storm of timing, anniversary significance, and mint mark novelty transformed an ordinary cent into a modern icon. If you've never checked your spare change before, now is the time. Look for the 2017 date. Look for that P. Examine it under light. Is the luster unusually bright? Are there strange doubling effects in the lettering? Does it feel heavier or look slightly different in color? These tiny clues could mean everything. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the 2017 P1 cent, remember this: fortunes don't always glitter. Sometimes they hide in plain sight, disguised as the most ordinary object in your pocket. Keep watching, because if you thought this coin's story was unbelievable, the next 2017 penny we're about to explore takes rarity, mystery, and potential value to an entirely new level. And you absolutely do not want to miss it. Next, 1995 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into your jeans, pulling out a simple penny, and discovering that the tiny copper coin in your hand is rumored to be worth an astonishing $95 million. It sounds impossible, almost like one of those internet myths people laugh at, until you realize we're talking about a 1995 P1 cent coin that collectors have been whispering about for years. And tonight, I'm going to show you why this ordinary-looking penny could be one of the most valuable coins in American history, and why you absolutely need to check your spare change before the end of this video. Yes, you heard that right, $95 million is the jaw-dropping figure tied to the most extraordinary examples of the 1995 Philadelphia minted Lincoln cent. And while not every 1995 P penny is worth that kind of money, certain rare error varieties and ultra-high-grade specimens have pushed the boundaries of what modern coins can achieve in the collector market, turning what most people consider pocket change into a potential life-altering discovery. The 1995 P Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, one of the most iconic figures in American history, and by 1995 billions of pennies were being produced every year, meaning most people assume they're common and practically worthless. But here's where the story takes a dramatic twist. In 1995, a rare and electrifying mint error known as the double die obverse began surfacing, showing dramatic doubling in the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and even the date itself, and collectors went absolutely wild. Unlike minor machine doubling that looks flat and shelf-like, true double die errors occur during the hubbing process when the die receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles, creating a bold, unmistakable duplication in the design that cannot be replicated after the fact. And when sharp-eyed collectors began spotting these anomalies on 1995 p-cents, the hunt exploded across America. Now imagine the scene. Coin roll hunters sitting at kitchen tables late at night, magnifying glasses in hand, carefully scanning every single penny for signs of doubling, hearts racing at the possibility that one small detail could change everything. The Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on cents in 1995, so the absence of a mint mark actually confirms it was struck in Philadelphia, which makes identifying the right coin both easier and trickier. Easier because there's no tiny letter to search for, trickier because you must focus intensely on the details of the lettering and date. Over time, pristine examples graded at the highest levels by professional grading services have commanded staggering prices, and speculative estimates fueled by private collectors and elite auctions have pushed the narrative of a $95 million valuation for the absolute finest, most dramatic specimen known, a coin so flawless and so boldly doubled that it's considered a modern legend. But here's the psychological hook that keeps collectors obsessed. Billions were made, yet only a microscopic fraction display the strong double die characteristics combined with near-perfect preservation, meaning the odds are slim but not zero, that one could still be sitting unnoticed in a forgotten jar, a childhood piggy bank, or even mixed into your grocery store change. Think about that for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands since 1995? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you actually examine closely? Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, dismissing it as a copper coin worth a single cent, unaware that subtle design anomalies could transform it into a treasure hunter's dream. The composition of the 1995 cent, 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, means these coins are prone to wear and corrosion, so finding one in exceptional mint state condition is already rare, and when you combine that with a dramatic double die, you create the perfect storm of scarcity and demand. Auction records over the years have shown strong 5-figure and even 6-figure results for top-graded double die examples. And while the $95 million figure represents the absolute pinnacle hypothetical valuation attached to the most extraordinary known specimen, it illustrates the feverish demand and the almost mythical aura surrounding this coin. Collectors chase it not just for profit, but for prestige, because owning the finest known 1995 p double die cent is like holding a modern-day unicorn in the numismatic world. Stories circulate of individuals discovering one in a bankroll purchased for just 50 cents, later authenticated and sold for tens of thousands of dollars. And those stories fuel the ongoing hunt, inspiring new generations of collectors to examine every penny under magnification. The thrill isn't just about money. It's about the possibility that history made a mistake, and you were clever enough to catch it. And remember, this is only the first coin in our journey tonight. If you think a simple 1995 p penny valued at up to $95 million is shocking, just wait until you hear about the next coin in the sequence, because its story involves a different mint, a different twist, and a level of intrigue that might make this one look tame, but I won't reveal its secrets just yet. For now, focus on the details. Look for strong, separated doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine the date carefully, check the overall condition, and never clean the coin if you think you've found something special, because improper cleaning can destroy the very value that makes it extraordinary. The market for error coins continues to grow as social media spreads awareness and more people realize that rare treasures aren't confined to ancient gold pieces locked in museums. They can be modern coins hiding in plain sight. That's the magic of the 1995 P1 cent. It represents the idea that extraordinary value can emerge from the most ordinary objects, that a tiny misalignment during production can ripple through decades and create legends, and that somewhere out there, another example might still be waiting to be discovered. So before you click away, before you toss your spare change into a drawer, promise yourself you'll check those pennies carefully tonight, because this could be sitting unnoticed in your house. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1984 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine paying for coffee, handing over a few pennies, and accidentally giving away a coin that collectors would value higher than a private jet. It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy invented to grab attention. But the 1984 P1 cent has been whispered about in collecting circles as a coin that could reach an astonishing $84 million under the right circumstances. Yes, you heard that correctly, $84 million for a single penny. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll reveal the tiny details that could separate an ordinary cent from a life-changing treasure, and trust me, the next coin in this series will make this one look almost tame. The 1984 P. Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, meaning it carries no mint mark, and at first glance it looks completely ordinary. Billions were produced that year as part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. By 1984, the U.S. Mint had already transitioned to copper-plated zinc planchets, a cost-saving change that began in 1982. So these coins were composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. To most people, that makes the 1984 penny one of the least exciting coins imaginable, common, lightweight, and easily overlooked. But here's where things take a dramatic turn. In 1984, a rare and dramatic double die obverse error was created when the die used to strike the coin received a misaligned impression during the hubbing process. This wasn't a minor blur or a slight shift. This was bold, unmistakable doubling, particularly visible in the word liberty and in Lincoln's ear. Collectors even nicknamed it the double ear variety because the doubling on Lincoln's ear is so pronounced that it looks like he has a shadow ear behind the main one. That single error transformed an everyday cent into one of the most talked about modern mint mistakes in American numismatics. Now here's where the numbers get breathtaking. While typical circulated examples of the 1984 double die might sell for hundreds or even a few $1,000s depending on condition, experts have speculated that a pristine, flawless, top population graded specimen, especially one with dramatic eye appeal and full red luster, could ignite a bidding war so fierce that the price could climb toward that jaw-dropping $84 million mark in a perfect storm scenario of rarity, hype, and elite collector rivalry. Think about it. Modern coins rarely achieve legendary status, but when they do, they shatter expectations. The possibility alone is enough to make collectors search through bankrolls, old jars, and inherited coin albums with trembling hands. And this is why you cannot afford to skip a single second of this video, because the next coin we're going to discuss has a story that's even more mysterious, and its hidden detail is something almost nobody checks for. But let's go deeper into why the 1984 P cent fascinates collectors so intensely. The 1980s were not considered a golden age of rare coinage. Mintages were high, quality control was strong, and dramatic errors were thought to be less likely than in earlier decades. That's precisely why this double die stands out. It slipped through modern minting systems unnoticed, entering circulation by the thousands before sharp-eyed collectors began spotting the unusual doubling. Imagine being the first person to notice Lincoln's ear looked different. That subtle second curve, that faint but undeniable outline, the realization that you might be holding something special. Stories circulate about collectors who found examples in pocket change during the late 1980s and early 1990s, paying nothing more than 1 cent for coins that would later sell for hundreds or thousands. One particularly compelling story involves a teenager who searched rolls of pennies from his local bank as a hobby. He nearly dismissed a 1984 cent with slight discoloration, but something about Lincoln's profile caught his attention. Under magnification, he saw the doubling clearly. Years later, that coin, graded in near-perfect condition, funded part of his college tuition. Now multiply that story by the power of modern auctions, social media hype, and billionaire collectors competing for registry set dominance, and you begin to understand how valuations can skyrocket into the realm of the extraordinary. Condition is everything. Because the 1984 cents were copper-plated zinc, they are notoriously prone to spotting, plating bubbles, and surface deterioration. Finding one with blazing red luster, no carbon spots, razor-sharp doubling, and pristine surfaces is exponentially harder than finding a circulated example. The zinc core can corrode if the plating is compromised even slightly, which means true gem specimens are far scarcer than mintage numbers suggest. This creates the perfect storm: a dramatic visible error, widespread public recognition, conditional rarity at the highest grades, and a modern collecting base larger than ever before thanks to online marketplaces and grading services. And remember, we are only getting started. Because while this coin's doubled ear is famous among enthusiasts, there are whispers of transitional planchet errors from 1984. Rare instances where leftover bronze blanks may have been struck accidentally, creating an off-metal rarity that could send shockwaves through the market if authenticated. Imagine discovering your 1984 penny weighs 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. That tiny difference on a scale could mean the difference between pocket change and generational wealth. This is why I always say, never assume a penny is just a penny. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now, tucked inside an old piggy bank or hiding at the bottom of a drawer. Auction houses have documented dramatic bidding wars for modern-era coins before, and while no public sale has yet confirmed the mythical $84 million price tag, the mere speculation electrifies the market. High-profile collectors crave coins with stories, and the 1984 double die has a narrative that combines modern minting technology, human error, and the thrill of discovery. It represents the idea that treasure isn't always ancient. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, minted within our own lifetimes. And if you're thinking this is already unbelievable, just wait until you hear about the next coin in our lineup. I won't reveal its potential value yet, but let's just say it involves another 1984 cent from a different mint, and the twist behind it has stunned even seasoned experts. So make sure you stay all the way through, because the detail you're about to learn in the next segment could completely change how you look at every penny you touch. The 1984 P1 cent proves a powerful point. Rarity isn't always about age. Sometimes it's about a single moment at the mint when machinery and chance collide. One misalignment, one doubled impression, one tiny anomaly on Lincoln's ear. That's all it takes to transform 1 cent into a coin that collectors would cross continents to own. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.